Hello and welcome to SOS 167. I am here with Rocket. Say hello, please.
Hello, and we are here to kick off brackets. Now, we are taking a look at a very interesting matchup indeed between Retro Records and Petrichor. Now, Retro Records so far in Swimmer Sync 167 have been undefeated, not only in sets, but map wins, taking them all in 2-0 sweeps in groups. Now, taking a look at Petrichor, they won all of their set matches, but did drop two maps, one to Moonshine and one to Free Flow, so it's going to be very interesting to see here how these teams will face off against each other.
Yes, and I will say Retro Records is known for having a rather eccentric comp, like a little more odd. If I'm not wrong, their captain, Scribs, is a Dynamo one trick. So that's going to be very interesting to watch. On a stage like this, Barnacle and Dime zones, which is pretty good for Dynamo in my own opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you have that giant flat area here that can just provide for such easy fire with that Dynamo as well, and I'd assume they'd run the cooler Dynamo as well. Taking a look a little bit at what Petrichor is running, pretty interesting indeed, having that Nautilus plus Pencil combination. You see now more and more Nautilus being run as not the backline, but more or less kind of that midline rangy weapon here, especially good with that splashdown. But already off to a start here, Retro Records will have a little bit more control of the zone and will be able to take it there early, but still Petrichor not giving it up.
Yeah, and I will say this match is going to be very hard for Petrichor, as they have a Crab Tank and Pencil against a lot of bombs. It's a Junior, which is essentially two bombs in itself, and then Ink Brush and a Dually. But, I mean, right now it doesn't seem to be stopping them as they try to retake the zones with this Crab and Splashdown, and they do get it back and start to try and get a hold of their own here.
Yeah, but Petrichor is still continuing to apply that pressure here. You see this Nautilus trying to find a pick, will try to use the Splashdown to succeed in it, but ultimately Retro Records are just being pushed back pretty well, and there is the lead switch. Petrichor will manage to take the lead here late, but this Crab is providing so much artillery fire that it may be hard for Petrichor to keep the zone, and it will be as such, as Retro Records will be able to get back onto the zone. But quickly though, two players are down for Retro Records. Now an opportunity for Petrichor to try to get in and contest this, but they need to get onto the zone and fast. They will eventually contest the zone here, so that will stop the lead switch, but the zone needs to be fully capped. But no, actually Retro Records are able to hop back onto the zone and take the lead.
Yeah, and I will say, we're seeing a bit of that Ink Brush right there, and the match is definitely going to be very interesting for weapons like that, but it could just shift in an instant with a Pencil here, shifting focus, because the Pencil just quickly finds two picks, and now Petrichor seems in a very solid position to try and retake the zones here. C going in and just splashdowning, clearing out more and more space, and they do end up taking zones back.
Yeah, near the end of their penalty Keeley, this is where Petrichor can really make a comeback here, especially since they have that Crab online, and you see that Blaster also has their special available. The Junior is down for Retro Records, and here now a counter Crab. Crab is so powerful on a flat map such as Barnacle and Dime that it just provides so much firepower, and there's barely any cover to hide behind. But Petrichor are continuing to try to take back this lead, and eventually they will, as actually two members of Retro Records fall, and now a cooler popped as well. This could be huge for Petrichor going for the knockout.
Yeah, and we do see that bubble get popped though. Unfortunately, C was not able to stop the bubble from going up, and so they're going to be able to push from that flat there, that stack there, to try and retake zone, and they do end up capturing it right before they're able to KO, leaving them with just 8, but quite the hefty penalty.
Yeah, Scribs, you saw the power of the Dynamo not being able to find a pick, but still making their presence well known. You see the Crab usage being popped from both sides. You saw Spirit Suit on that Crab, but now a counter Crab coming from the other side on Retro Records. They will go down though, and now Retro Records are Keeley out of their penalty, so now the pressure is being put onto Petrichor to answer back, and they need to answer soon. Their dualies now fully respawn. Now all members of Retro Records are online, except that Brush, who just got taken down. Now Petrichor has an opportunity to get into the zone. Two players are down. The Dynamo as well. Petrichor needs to jump on this, and They want to keep the lead, and they will keep the lead. They're very clutch from petrichor to be able to hold on to it. Now the pressure is off of them. It's just the slightest, but really well done for them to paint that zone in such a quick fashion.
Yeah, and now Retro Records has to get through this gigantic penalty, but for now they just have to retake the zone, and it doesn't seem like with this crab petrichor wants to let it go. They do end up losing zone here, but not without taking down multiple players of Retro Records and keeping it very even.
Yeah, but it's now crunch time. Less than a minute left into the match. Retro Records are nearing their end of their penalty, so now petrichor needs to jump back onto this, because so far this match has been very even, very back and forward here, but these final moments are going to be key. That brush is keenly snuffed out of that shark, but the crab that is placed on Retro Records is just too powerful, and that might be the X factor here. The zone is very much contested as players are falling left, right, and center. The bubble being popped as well from Rice just to try to hold onto the zone. The blaster will find them, and petrichor will manage to stay alive in this, taking the zone. 20 seconds are left. This will be the last opportunity for petrichor to get back into this. They need a hold in overtime.
Yeah, and honestly, with this splashdown ready, they could stop anything here, as the ink brush will be struggling a lot to get in with the Nautilus still alive. And honestly, all their specials are very weak to splashdown. Splashdown comes out to stop the bubble. 2 go down, 3 go down for Retro Records, but the crab is able to come out and keep the dream alive here.
Ooh, and the dream will stay alive. That crab provided so much value there late and then afterwards. Even though they were the last player standing, the crab just stalled enough for all the members to flood back in, and provided all those jumps, provided Slimester the ability to jump onto that zone with that brush, and all it took was a little bit of paint to seal game 1. Now Retro Records have the opportunity. They just need one more match to move on. Remember, this is best of 3. We are still in our first round here, but it is not over for petrichor, because that was a really close match. Wouldn't you say so, Star?
Yeah, very close. I'm not gonna lie, whenever I saw that splashdown come out to try and break that bubble as I expected it to, and I saw 2 people go down for Retro Records, I thought all hope was lost. I thought the game was over. A third went down too. I didn't even realize the dually was still alive. But then the crab came out, and suddenly I just see so many landing markers directly, super jump landing markers directly on that crab. And suddenly the game is real again for Retro Records, with the pick that the crab was able to get there, turning it from a 1v4 to a 3v3 very fast. And Retro Records just immediately capitalized off of that and took zone there. And now, honestly, if I'm petrichor, I'm very confused on what to do now.
I mean, you still have an opportunity to present itself. This match is vital. This is the match that they need to even things up, and it is going to be Clamblitz Scourge Gorge. Now, we saw the crab usage from both sides work really effectively on Splat Zones, Barnacle, and Dime, mainly because of the map mode itself, just because of the flat land and it being Splat Zones. But here I'm really interested to see if they will stick to those dualies. Now, in terms of the mode itself, it can get very snowbally. Of course, Clamblitz is very volatile, but what are your thoughts on the map specifically?
I will say this map is, considering how Retro Records doesn't really have a definitive backline, just Dynamo to give them some range, and then Junior to kind of hold them as an anchor. I will say they may just be at a disadvantage here finally, as even though Zones is great for something like a pencil, Scorched Gorge is great for range weapons, and Nautilus loves bullying short range weapons, which Retro Records is filled with them. And just to add insult to injury, petrichor has a pencil as well. Just the pressure applied here from those 2 weapons alone is going to be insane, not to mention how crab will play into it for both sides, honestly. But we do start to get into it. We see no comp changes here as expected, but we do see a shot come out.
Yeah, very interesting indeed, but I like the pick for Rice to go with that Zuka to provide that power. Now, you were mentioning the bubble being played. Actually, the Junior will not be played for petrichor. It's actually going to be the blaster. I believe that's the blaster with that auto bomb plus bubble, which I love to see, especially on this map, because it can provide so much space, it can provide so much of a presence for your attack, and that 1-2 combination that you have with that bubble plus that crab is going to be very deadly. Now we see the little bit of an attempt at a little sneak around, but it will be snubbed out. As you see here, Scribs trying to make their presence known with this dynamo, trying to take out the knot. They will find that pick. Now an opportunity presents up, but no, DZ will shut them down in the wake of it. And actually 3 members of petrichor go down. Is just left to the pencil now, with Retro Records having 11 clams. Slimester is just taking no survivors, trying to take all this space and the opportunity. And now, you know, with the opportunity to break the barrier, they will, and the crowd to boot.
Yeah, and as we see this crab come out, Slimester is able to just draw so much attention and find a pick of their own here, and so much space gets cleared by that. They have Cooler coming out, they have so much going for them, able to get it down to the 50s, getting it down to 50, and Rice still lives. And now, if I'm petrichor, I'm happy, because now we cleared it out. It's our time to push. We gotta go, because we have that crab coming out.
Yeah, I mean, you would be happy about the push not lasting longer, but I'm sure they're still feeling the pressure now. Now, you have to surmount a lead here, but 2 members are down for petrichor. The ball is still in possession of them, so it's okay. They can have an opportunity to really just try to build up a defense, try to regroup with each other, because so far, Retro Records are not giving up any pressure whatsoever. They're continuing to put their foot on the gas, and with Cooler popped as well, now could be an opportunity for them to go in, especially with Crab being popped as well. You see the Crab being popped on that tower now. Space is trying to be made here, 2 for 1 in favor of Retro Records, will lead to the barrier break, and now the floodgates are open yet again.
Yeah, they get it down to the 30s with more clamps to try and push in. It does not seem like they're going to be able to get many more in with the crab coming out, the bubble coming out, and it seems like the push is finally really dead for Retro Records, instead of them just immediately finding another counter push. But still, they're able to just keep a good hold of mid, keep finding picks here, find a pick on the Blaster, find a pick on the Nautilus. It may be another push, and I may have just cursed it. There's another push going on yet again for Retro Records.
Yeah, continuing to keep up that pressure, like I've mentioned time and time again. Retro Records continue to make their presence known, but now petrichor will slam that door straight shut. They will at least save that push. They will save themselves to live another day, canceling out that push mostly to stop the bleeding a little bit. But still, you have a minute and 50 left, so still plenty of time left to get back into this if you are a petrichor. But the flanking brush from Slimester will find 1 plus the jump as well. That is huge now for Retro Records to allow themselves to get back into the zone. The popping of the Zuka as well from Rice will try to find a pick. As we see here, though, we see this Blaster player continuing to move forward, trying to make their name and presence known. It's just less the Slimester on that brush, but they will stay alive for a little bit. But now petrichor with the wipeout now have their first opportunity to push in, and oh my goodness, it's already a great one.
Yeah, they've already gotten so many clams in. That's a lead off of 1 singular push, and now they're looking to just find more clams. C going in, getting 3 more, getting it down to the 20s. That penalty is going to be large when we see it, but they're trying to keep that penalty from showing up, trying to just pour more clams in, and it finally stops here, amassing a gigantic penalty, but with that, a very, very large lead here.
Yes, but that lead can quickly switch, though, Star. All it needs is Retro Record to have 2 balls, and that lead can be switched. But we saw petrichor retake that lead with just 50 seconds. It only took 50 seconds to do so. Rice with a beautiful pick onto that pencil. That means no Cooler. Nautilus down as well for petrichor. This is where Retro Records can really get back into it, especially with the ball being popped. The dynamo will go down, but the damage is done. Rice is throwing in the clams, and there it goes. There is the goal, and there is the lead, and there is the game. Retro Records managing to get a beautiful push there to stop petrichor's last second push and take the set. Moving on to round 2.
Yeah, and honestly, that was so hard to play as petrichor there. As I do remember at one point, I did see Slimester sneaking out of their spawn there, and the pencil just completely not seeing it, and we just happen to see just a short 10 seconds later the brush flanking getting 2, and petrichor just struggled to push from there. And even though they did end up taking lead, they could have done even more if it weren't for that flank and the amount of pressure that they were able to apply, despite how much of a disadvantage that map seems to put them at.
Yeah, GG's to them. Retro Records will move on. Petrichor will unfortunately be eliminated now. We will see Retro Records go against slash RW3 in our second match, but actually what we are going to take a look at immediately after this is Honkai versus Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, our 3 and 6 seed respectively. Now, if you take a look at how their tourneys have gone so far, Honkai have been undefeated now. They have been sitting here. They got that first round bye. They didn't have to play a match and you take a look at Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, they did have to play a match in Great White. They took down, I believe, Cat Emoji in a 2-1 set, so pretty close there, but that was their only loss. In terms of maps, they went 8 of 9 for wins, map wins so far.
Yeah, but you do gotta think about it, like, even though Honkai may be undefeated so far, with that round 1 bye, they may just be a bit less warmed up than Triggerfish Zone Supremacy. And we did just see a team with an eccentric comp, Retro Records, just win their set. Triggerfish Zone Supremacy is known very well for having very, very strange comp. So we may just see a repeat of the last set, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised to see it.
Yeah, now that's what I love about teams that run unconventional comps, though. It can be not only effective not only for the surprise element, but just because of how teams have to really perfect and players have to really perfect themselves around that weapon to really make it work. But we see time and time again, I mean, we saw a little bit of an example last time with that Dynamo. It created so much of a presence for them with that cooler. But not only that, I wouldn't be surprised, like you were mentioning, if we see a little bit some unconventional weapons being played here. Now though, moving away from comp talk, let's talk about our set here as a whole in terms of maps. Our first map will be Robo Ramen Zones here. What are your thoughts on this map mode, Stara?
I might be biased because every weapon I've ever played in this game, or at least every weapon I've ever played and enjoyed as a main in this game has been good on this map, whether it be Junior with bombs or Bucket, because how vertical this map is. I might be a little bit biased, but I think this map is wonderful. I think it's honestly one of the best zones maps in the game, and especially for a team like Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, who has a brush, yet again, like going back to those very strange comps, for a team that has a ink brush player like Krakenmare, it's a great map for them.
Yeah, especially since Robo Ramen especially provides those flanking routes. I mean, you have the obvious path below, but not only that, from the sides as well. So really, it provides those players like that ink brush player you mentioned, just the ability to just appear out of nowhere and change fights. Now, Robo Ramen, in my opinion, isn't exactly the first people's choice for splat zones, but it's always a nice map to see because you have the ability to really lock out an opponent so well. And once you cap the zone and get up a little bit closer to, especially if you have like a crab or a bubble like you mentioned, the lane to go through is very narrow to try to come back from this. So really, if whoever has the first control of the zone, I think will have a really good start, especially with the ability that they have, especially an elevation advantage. Now, obviously in Splatoon, anything can change within a matter of mere seconds though, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see not only a quick take and long hold, but also a very back and forward grueling match for the zone.
Yeah, and you did already mention how strong it is for lockouts, but again, to be fair, going back again to the flanks on the map, there is always that left drop, which is a brush's best friend, honestly. And it's just gonna be very interesting to see how Honkai interacts and responds to Triggerfish Zone Supremacy's just very, very strange team comps.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're gonna have to really play around it. Now, we are still in best of 3, so we have to wait a little bit moment as we have our teams pick some weapons here. But taking a look at our other map modes here, we will have game number 2, Rainmaker Museum de Alfonsino, and game number 3, if necessary, I believe to be the classic quintessential Splatoon 3 map mode, Splat Zones Hagglefish Market. Any thoughts on either of these map modes here?
Rainmaker Museum is a great map. I will say that's honestly very. I don't want to say underrated because people do like it, but I will say it deserves the love it gets. It's a very good map. And as for Zones Hagglefish Market, a hobby of mine is getting friends and running 4 Reeflighters. So I don't think people like Reeflighter cheese, but I think people do love the map.
Yeah, for sure. Already we're seeing a little bit some lesser common weapons here. We're seeing the Explosher come out from Triggerfish Zone Supremacy. I love Explosher on this map, the range of it and the poking ability that you have. But taking a look at Honkai over there, you have the Squeezer and you have that Rapid Blaster Pro Deco here, which I love to see. Squeezer you have for that Zuka, but that Zuka actually being shut down, but Kavi will be taken down by that Explosion. The Explosion getting run down themselves, and already off to a fiery great start. Triggerfish Zone Supremacy will have control of the zone with 70 ticks and counting.
Yeah, and we do see the brush going into these lower passageways, but it's not working out as we expected it, as the brush goes down and Kavi finds one more with the Zuka, and now we do see Honkai push up and start to hold a little bit here.
Yeah, and already Honkai are able to get back into the zone though, so now an opportunity for them to take back this lead. However, this Explosion does have that splashdown available for them, just trying to find an opportunity or a moment to use it. But Honkai will be able to basically take the lead here now. They will be able to manage to do such that, but now Triggerfish Zone Supremacy needs to jump on it, but the counter splashdown by Triggerfish Zones will allow them to get back into things here now, chasing down these remaining stragglers. 3 down for Honkai. Now an opportunity for Triggerfish Zones to get a defense, or not a defense, a defending of the zone for themselves here, as now they are almost out of their penalty points already.
Yeah, and we do see the brush sharking able to find a few, and now it's just 3 down. It's just the Zap left. Nilla is left alone here to fend for themselves, and the lead will end up swapping because it's just very hard to push back whenever it's 3 down for your team. And Woomy is trying to find a way back in. They're scrambling to find something here, but it's just a 1v1, and this may just be wraps for the game as the timer is ticking down. 10, 9, 8, 7 people going down to the Zuka, and that will be it. Game 1 does go to Triggerfish Zone Supremacy.
Yeah, Honkai unable to get that last hurrah in there. Triggerfish Zone Supremacy did a great job of, like I mentioned before we started this start, that lockout ability that you can potentially have, and that I love just how their comp is situated here. You have Krakenmare on that ink brush, but not only that, to just be the yin to the yang, you have that Explosion in the back as well, allowing to provide that artillery fire, that presence, that poking ability that can put the members of Honkai in unfavorable situations and may even draw them closer for Krakenmare to clean them up.
Yeah, and honestly, if I'm Honkai here, and I don't, not to use too many of these if I'm analogies, but if I'm Honkai here, I'm terrified because this is a really good map for something like a splashdown weapon, and now I'm fighting an Explosion 1 game down on the brink of getting knocked out of the tournament. I'm very worried, so I'm very interested to see how Honkai responds, but also I'm very interested to see what the Wiper does, because Wiper is very strong here, and IB Woomy is a very strong Wiper player, so I'm curious to see how that works out for them here.
Yeah, to add a little bit more onto that, the stamp that you have from that Splatana can really provide that presence that you can really open up the other team's defense, especially on Museum, which is very much known to be very difficult to get through, especially past that first checkpoint. You have to deal with that spinner, but a stamp can lead to a giant path through. Let's see if there's any changes from either team here in terms of comps. No changes for Honkai. On the other side, Triggerfish zones still stand firm here. They will have that V shot as well with that Zuka, so providing a little bit more firepower, but besides that, running it back with the same comms.
I will say it is odd to see one of these rapid zap comps that doesn't run Stamper and doesn't run Dualies, but instead runs Squeezer and Substitute. But that won't really, what you run here doesn't really matter if you all go down to a Zuka, and Pepe is trying to showcase that right here, finding multiple with that, and they almost get checkpoint immediately.
Pepe with the quick 1, 2, 3 from the Zuka, but Honkai able to recover in kind, at least denying that first checkpoint pop, but still, that was really clean shooting there already. But we see Honkai trying to make their own push, won't quite find that checkpoint, but 3 members are down for Triggerfish zones. Now an opportunity for Honkai to take the lead here, to take the first checkpoint. Terra will find Smork on that Rapid Blaster Pro, and now they will have the lead, and now Rainmaker is in a great spot for them, and now they're just continuing to try to extend that lead. It will get quickly shut down though, so Triggerfish zones with a quick response of themselves. The Krakenmare will find 2, but will go down.
Yeah, and now with the splashdown coming out, I think Triggerfish Zone Supremacy is going to be able to get in, start pushing up more. Zuka comes out, Pepe trying to cause a repeat of what happened last time. Not quite able to find as many picks, but still finding one there on the wiper, and now Triggerfish Zone Supremacy trying to push back in a little bit here, take a bit more space, but sadly getting forced back here.
Yeah, that bubble will be popped, but that Junior will be taken down. Bubble is such a great defensive and offensive special to be had, especially on a map and mode like this. It allows for that space creation and allows for a little bit of a protection, a little bit of a breather. Now Honkai trying to make a push of their own. This Rainmaker trying to dance around. They will get traded out by Krakenmare, so now the Rainmaker is left to the devices of Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, who have a little bit more control of their side. Pepe trying to see if they can find a little bit more success with that Zuka, as we saw in their initial Zuka pop, but now just deciding to try to take this flanking route, trying to find an opportunity to destroy. Honkai will lose 2 members, so now an opportunity for Triggerfish Zone Supremacy to at least try to even things up a little bit here, trying to get that checkpoint pop, and they will eventually get it. You see that bubble provide such a safe space for them to get that push.
Yeah, and that revisits how you said it's such a strong defensive and offensive special. It's one of the strongest offensive specials on Rainmaker, because you can just guarantee free points for your Rainmaker carrier, while at the same time being a good way to stop the enemy team from just getting any points at all. But right now we're seeing no bubble come out, and instead just pressure just continually put on by Honkai here.
Yeah, Honkai just trying to fight for every point possible. You see the stamp being popped by Wumi to try to stay alive, try to keep Honkai in it, but no, it will be a wipeout in favor of Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, who now have a very clear lane to at least get into the mid here, now trying to get onto the ramp of Honkai. One will be found. Taro, the Rapid Blaster player, will go down, so now an opportunity may present itself for the rest of Triggerfish Zones to take this left path. 2 are down, but the Zuka being popped from Honkai will shut down that push right then, and they're really impressive right there, just completely wiping off Triggerfish Zones push there, and now an opportunity for Honkai to push themselves. These teams have been really effective at shutting down each other's pushes.
Yeah, we haven't seen anybody get near 30, let alone get past 40. With these continual Zukas we see coming out from both sides. Pepe popping his right now, trying to find some picks. 2 will go down, and the Rainmaker is just forced into this very awkward position, where they do end up going down, and leaving it up to Triggerfish Zone Supremacy yet again.
Yeah, and now nearing the 40-second mark, Triggerfish Zones needs to develop a little bit of a push here, but the Rainmaker will be taken out as 2 members will fall for Triggerfish Zone Supremacy. Now down 1 man, 30 seconds left. Pepe with the Zuka trying to find some magic happening, trying to find their success. That cooler is popped for Honkai, so now an opportunity for them to really take these risks and take these fights without much risk behind them. The Rainmaker is picked up by Honkai. All it takes is 1 player to shut down that Honkai player, but no, Triggerfish Zones is falling. A beautiful Zuka will take out another, and that will be a wipeout. 5 seconds left, and that will just about do it for that match. Honkai were able to completely shut down that push and shut down any overtime attempts, now evening things up 1-1. We're going to game 3, Stara.
Yeah, and honestly, just seeing that Zuka come out from Kavi on that one push where they had the bubble up, they had everything needed to succeed there. They just had to watch out for the Zuka, but Kavi was able to just shut it down very fast. And honestly, that entire match was a showcase of, even though it might have fallen out of favor in the meta a little bit, Zuka is still a very powerful special, and it shines very brightly there.
Yeah, and now we have what I believe to be the most classic competitive map, not only in mode but in map, Splat Zones Hagglefish Market. I mean, what more has to be said about this? You see this map a lot. I feel like the majority of the opinion has been this is just a really good map. I mean, it's gotten to the point where maybe some people are sick of it a little bit, but hey, it's a classic indeed. I mean, you have those 2 flanking routes on the left and right side. You have that small area of zone in mid there, pretty condensed one indeed. And I think it's really where teams are able to highlight their skills, highlight how they play, and really highlight how they like to play their comps. Yeah,
and honestly, I will say these flanks here are going to be interesting for both teams, because even though flanks are always, whenever you compare the two, flanks will always be a little bit more beneficial for something like an Ink Brush than a Wiper. There's some ledges that Wiper can poke under perfectly on this map that the Ink Brush really can't do. So it's gonna be, this is probably the most even mode or map mode for anything in this set so far between these 2 teams. And honestly, considering how surprised with both the first and second game's results, with me in my head, I had my ideas for who was gonna win those 2 matches, and I got it wrong both times. So honestly, I'm ready for anything now. I wouldn't be surprised by anything now, honestly. But I'm just ready to see whatever happens, because they seem hard set on these 2 comps, and I'm wondering what they're gonna pull this time to try and find their way in and find their way to win here, find their win condition.
The crab being used as well. You see those dualies, very interesting, and I love that pickup for Honkai. I mean, crab is such an impressive special here, and now we're taking a look at a very similar comp, I believe the same comp actually, coming from Triggerfish Zones. I think that dynamic between seeing that crab coming from Honkai and seeing that bubble being placed in mid is going to be a very interesting dynamic to watch and interaction indeed. As we see the Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, Pepe continuing that early success with the Zuka. It seems like every time they pick up the Zuka, they find multiple, they'll find 2 off of that and trying to find more, but no, Triggerfish Zone Supremacy still have a great lead though, but Pepe has been on fire initially with those Zukas.
Yeah, and we do see Kavi coming out with his own Zuka. Not quite able to find picks or find the zone even, but the continued pressure may just be able to find the zone here, as now Triggerfish Zone Supremacy continually getting just backed up before they eventually just forfeit zone here, even for just a moment. And now Honkai is given a bit more of a chance to try and take some space here.
Yeah, Woomy has crab now available. This is, I believe, their first crab that they will eventually be able to pop, but 2 players are down for Honkai, and now the crab being shut down as well from that side. Zuka from, you know who it is, Pepe on that left side. Now Triggerfish Zones are pushing in with so much of a commanding force now all the way up near the Honkai spawn, but continuing to get kills as Kabi falls. Another will fall as well, but Triggerfish Zones have taken that last game to heart and now say, okay, no more messing around. This is the just said, this is the tournament on the line. It is time to bring it and give it our all. 25 ticks are left for Triggerfish zones. The Explosion Splashdown is available, but you also see the Killer Whale being popped. Now Honkai need to throw everything they have onto the zone. 10 ticks left. Kabi is the most forward player for Honkai. They will take out Krakenmare, but will it be enough? No. Triggerfish zones will answer with a quick 100-0 knockout, and they will move on to our next round.
That was something to watch, because in both situations here, in both scenarios from each game, it's always seemed like Honkai was about to retake the zone, and then just barely, like by the skin of their teeth, Triggerfish Zone Supremacy keeps it. Even there, I thought Honkai would have retaken the zone years before it hit 0, but no, they weren't able to. They also just keep paint on just a bit longer to try and close out that game there. And even in game 1, I remember thinking, oh, it's gonna stop around like 18, 19. But then I just see one of Honkai's go down to a bomb randomly, and now it's just a rapid left alone to paint versus a shot, which can just clearly outpaint it. And just those small things make all the difference there. And those were able to get Triggerfish Zone Supremacy the win both times. And and yet again, if I'm Honkai right now, I'm a little bit upset at the mode Splat Zones as a whole. But what can you do? It's always gonna be like this. This the Splatoon mode, honestly. Just always surprises in store, really.
Yeah, they fought really hard here, but their run ends now. Triggerfish Zone Supremacy will move on to our semifinals matchup to face a familiar opponent who we saw earlier, Retro Records. But before we get to our semifinals matchups, we will be taking a very, very quick break, so do not go anywhere. Swimmer Sync will return very momentarily. Welcome back to Swim or Sink 167 here. Rocket and Stara still here with you, and now we are in our semifinals matchup between SOS Warriors, the pickup. You see these names, you recognize them: Liam, Hershey, Pixies, Kiki, Tickle. And on the other side to face them, these names are also familiar as well for y'all who have been keeping up with the competitive scene. Mechanical Cats, Sunny, Toby, and Cap will be representing Deer. So SOS Warriors versus Deer. What are your thoughts on this powerhouse matchup?
Honestly, I will say I'm very, very excited to see just any gameplay from Mechanical Cats, because you really don't see S Blast every day. You really do not see it every day. Mechanical Cats, like, people say that weapon's like, I've heard people say like that weapon's basically just a squiffer. Mechanical Cats makes the thing feel like a top tier sometimes. That, like, they are very, very strong, but at the same time they're going up against like other very strong players. Tickle, a very, very well-known player for a good reason. Very strong on Wiper, very strong on everything they play essentially. Mocha, known for recently playing Custom Blaster a lot, but still very strong on a variety of weapons, honestly. Harshy, always strong on Pencil, but also does flex to other weapons. Still very, very, very strong for, and very well known for a good reason. And Addict, a great brush player, just very well-known brush one trick for good reason as well. So, you know, I'm like very excited to see everybody here, because like these are all like great players, but mainly just those weapons like Ink Brush No View and S Blast. Those are what I'm here to see, honestly, because they're just so interesting to watch. You don't see Mechanical Class every day. You don't see Addict every day. These are like very, very interesting players.
Yeah, for sure. And just taking a look at how their SOS has gone so far, SOS Warriors have gone flawless through all their games, through all those maps. Taking a look at Deer, only dropping one map in their previous round against Cutie Patooties. So really, these teams have been on a tear during this entire tournament. But shifting away from these players a little bit, you see down there, our first map will be Zone Ship-Shaped Cargo. Obviously, that large zone in mid, on the sides though, with those high elevated towers, going to provide some very interesting interactions as well. You talked about it earlier with Mechanical Cats running that S Blast here. Now you would expect to have, I believe, the 91 one where you have that Booyah Bomb as well. It can provide so much pressure and so much presence as well, not only because you can camp those elevations with the range that S Blast can provide, but that Booyah Bomb is so great onto the zone. Now taking a look at the other side, obviously you mentioned Harshy is one of the best, if not the best, in the business for pencil players. They have the ability to really just provide so much pressure, so much presence, and be the spine and backbone for their team, especially with that cooler pencil.
Yeah, and honestly, he's been like showing up in large tournaments with his snooze team, like getting second in Golden Paddling Pool recently. So obviously, like, very excited to see what he can do here. As this is a very, very good pencil map, just for how well it just applies pressure, not just through paint, but just through how much range it has, how much control it has over this map.
Yeah, for sure. And just a little reminder, if you don't see it already, we are in 5-game sets now, so this will allow for an opportunity for these teams to get to know each other a little bit, get to know their tendencies, get to know their comps, and we are just going to jump straight into it. Game number 1. Let's see what these two teams have in store for us. We see an Ink Brush plus, I believe, a Range Blaster coming in for the side of Deer, and on the other side, oh no, that's SOS Warrior actually coming in with that Range Blaster. And on the other side, you see that S Blast, you see that Crab, you see the Gal. I love to see it here. Pretty standard, no, not really too many surprises. Let's see how it turns out here, but SOS Warriors will manage to get the first cap onto the zone.
Yeah, and we do end up seeing, I saw a few weapons that were like kind of expected, but seeing Junior here was not very expected. Seeing a colorless comp here was a very large surprise. We see a tickle on the wiper as expected. Very, very good hammer coming out here. Trying to find picks, getting one, but unfortunately just trading. And we see Cash just applying so much pressure here, making sure this bubble is ill-used.
Yeah, and already managing to take a sizable lead now. Deer can really just chill out here. Closure will find one. They will find Addict on that brush, continuing to make their presence well known here. 40 ticks left for Deer here to try to pull away from this, but so far SOS Warriors have been trying to find a really difficult time of trying to get it. You see Harshy there on that Junior here, not deciding to run Pencil. Very interesting choice here, as there will be no cooler because of that, but the bubble, I like the choice a lot. Now Junior is a bit of an unusual pick, but you see why it's so good for zones right there. The bubble being placed in mid allows for the space for the remainder of SOS Warriors to try to contest this, but still Deer are not giving up any ground at all, because they will make them pay for every inch of ground they will try to get.
Yeah, and we do see Cass continuing to just apply pressure, make it so hard for everybody to fight. Cass never going down without like a trade or something. We see the crowd come out though, try and take place for Cass AoE that is now missing, but trades yet again. And now SOS Warriors taking down that timer, having a bubble ready to just stall. Harshy pops the bubble, just Harshy and Addict left here, just able to just keep a good hold here, and just a few ticks left until they take the lead here.
Yeah, and just like that, there's the lead switch. Now still half the match to be played, but still SOS Warriors are going straight for the KO here. 20 ticks left. Deer needs to get back onto the zone here. Cat's trying to make an attempt at going in, but no, quickly shut down by that RB. 5 ticks left. Will there be any contest onto the zone? Titan tries on that left side, but no. SOS Warriors with the comeback there will manage to take game 1 in the semifinal set.
Yeah, and honestly, seeing the core of this comp was such a... The thing is, what I immediately saw whenever the comps were loading, and I noticed the ink brush, I noticed the wiper, I did not notice the Junior there. I was not ready for the core of this comp, because the thing is, I've seen Harshy go things outside of pencil. I've seen Harshy on 52 Gal, for example, but I've never seen him on Junior. But that was a very, very pleasant surprise, because he did really well on it, and he was able to be a great anchor there for SOS Warriors. And now they're one game up. Deer trying to look for a way back into the set, which, I mean, if you're a pencil team, I mean, I was wrong once earlier with a petrichor set, but if you're a pencil team, you're going to like Clamblitz Scorched Gorge if you're fighting a team without pencil. So, you know, I do believe that Deer will be at a solid advantage on this map, so they shouldn't be too stressed out here, but still they gotta find out like what to do about these constant hammers coming out. They gotta find out what to do about these bubbles here, because those are gonna keep being problems no matter what the map is.
Yeah, I mean, you see the special usage from SOS Warriors, and I wouldn't hate at all running back that same comp for SOS Warriors, especially on a map like Clamblitz Scorched Gorge. Me and you both saw this previously, Star. Now we saw how powerful bubble can be, but not only that, the range blaster that was played in that previous game, I'd like it to be played here. I would like the choice here as well, because it fit into the kind of the role how we saw Dynamo being played in that previous match with Retro Records. You have that just ledge camping ability, that AoE area of denial as well, that just really allows for these players to just really operate in space and can create the pressure. Now if you're on the other side with Deer, you have potentially that cooler run back again, like you were touching on earlier, that pencil, that range. You need to utilize it, you need to use it well, because SOS Warriors will run you down if you're not careful, but I'm sure Deer have their own plans to figure it out.
Yeah, and to be fair, I will say I wouldn't be too surprised to see a comp change here, because if I'm not wrong, Cap isn't a dually main. I do think they play Stamper, if I'm not wrong. So, you know, I wouldn't be too surprised to see some sort of comp change here, especially considering Stamper is very, very good into bubble. So, you know, I wouldn't be too surprised to see if that's how they respond.
Yeah, for sure. And just taking a quick little peek as we wait a little bit for these teams to ready up at the other side of this tournament, we see Retro Records and Triggerfish Zone's Supremacy being tied up 1-1, so very tightly contested there. So all of these semifinals matchups so far at the very minimum have been closely contested. I mean, we saw in that Shipshape Cargo match, it was not an easy fight to come back at all. I mean, Deer had the initial push, had the initial presence, had the initial success. They're knocking it down 70 ticks down to around the 30 tick mark, but in the end, SOS Warriors were able to punch back in kind. That is what Splatoon competitive is about. Not about how hard you get knocked down, but how hard you hit right back, how hard you come back. And now we'll see if SOS Warriors can continue their success or if Deer can punch back.
Yeah, and I will say, if you want to look at the later maps too, actually, we usually Tower Control Hagglefish, pretty good stage, and that will be. I want to like make a few small calls here. That's also going to be a bit beneficial for something like Deer here because they have a Booyah Bomb weapon. Versus like something like Rainmaker Comeback, where SOS Warriors have 2 hammers on a very good Rainmaker map. So, you know, like I think I do think that these are going to be some very uneven stages for a little bit, but I will say I'm very much looking forward to that game 5 if we do get to it, because Splatoon's Mahi Mahi Resort, that's the most even map I think you can get here. Both teams are very strong. Their bubble is an incredible special on that map, but at the same time, Pencil is very strong at taking zone and painting up there. So, you know, it's gonna be very even there. Meanwhile, for the next 3 maps, I do think that it's not gonna be the most even here because, you know, teams will be like struggling a little bit more depending on their comps. You know, a team without a pencil is obviously going to struggle on Gambit Scorched Forge, as mentioned earlier. And this time, I won't eat my words. I won't eat my words this time.
Hopefully not commentators cursing, if you so say. But actually, I'd like to touch back on what you mentioned on Tower Control Hagglefish Market. Now, you mentioned Mechanical Cats having that S-Blast, but you saw in that game number 1, we did see a range blaster coming out from SOS Warriors, so we can maybe see some blaster gameplay. Now, I might be biased because I am a blaster player, so just seeing that makes me happy, but that's going to be a very, very interesting interaction because the range is almost identical between both of these teams in terms of their blaster players. I mean, that's going to be a very interesting interaction, almost to the point where you'd kind of think that Harshi would, or another player from SOS Warriors will go back to that bubble, maybe a junior. It doesn't have to be a junior. I've seen Splat Roller being played, obviously much less common, but you'd like to think these specials are going to be changed there for that map mode. But yeah, I agree with you. Definitely want to see this go all 5 ways because Splat Zone's Mahi Mahi, like you mentioned, it's a really, really fun match to watch. I mean, obviously with the quirk of the map dropping and making the entire map available at the 60-point mark, it allows for that volatility. It allows for the opportunity for retakes, but I think also another sleeper, the little chaotic map, I love to call it, Rainmaker Humpback Pump Track, is so volatile, so chaotic, as there is no drawn front line. Enemies can pop up from anywhere, and it's just an overall slaughter fest in mid.
Yeah, that is true, and but to be fair, there is Hammer there, but that's really a worry for the future because right now, all that's focused on here is that Deer wants to like claw a game back.
Yeah, but we're seeing SOS Warriors coming out with a very, very aggressive comp. I mean, you see the brush, you see 2 Spladanas, and you're seeing that Junior come out yet again for Harshi. Still, I believe, not running a cooler and still just running full head of steam. I like it though. If there's any mode to be running this such of an aggressive comp, it is going to be on Clams, and already making their presence known. 3 players are down. The cooler will be popped by Deer, but all players are already down. Now SOS Warriors setting the pace here early. You need and you like to have the first push go under 60 just like that. There you go, because it allows you to have that little bit of cushion so you don't get immediately counterattacked on. But still, SOS Warriors are throwing clams in, but eventually Hershey will be the last player standing. But 50 points is not something to scoff at all, especially within the first 50 seconds of the match.
Yeah, and honestly, with something like Stanford here, they can very much deal with these crab tanks that we're going to be seeing all match. So, honestly, it doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter if these Zukas are going to come out looking like Pepe was in that last set, just finding so many picks with Zuka, and now this may be their chance to push if they can just form a ball here.
Yeah, just one clam away from it. There will be the last clam. There will be the push. The ball will find its way into the goal. 3 players are down now. Actually, a wipeout in favor of Deer. Now the floodgates have opened. Now an opportunity presents itself. Titan has the clams, and you see that pity clam coming in as well, and there is the lead. That is how volatile Clam Blitz is. It is an attack versus defense, back and forward brawl, and now Deer are now well into the driver's seat, down to the 27-point mark, trying to see if they can get something a little extra time here, trying to hide, trying to find an opportunity to strike here, but they are eventually forced out, but not without taking one with them. And now SOS Warriors have quite a moderate lead to come back from.
Yeah, but if the team keeps going 3 down like that, and the pencil is going to get split up like this, you know, this could be not very much to come back from. Just one clam needed to get that lead back. Party's rushing in with it, needs to get a bit closer, and that's it. They're gonna get lead, get down to 2, and one more clam would have been the difference. But now Deer have one more chance finally to try and get in and actually take the lead back.
SOS Warriors and answering in kind, still half the map to be played. The ball will be found. Closure will throw it in. The crab is here now, quickly taken out. Titan now trying to find these clams, trying to find an opportunity. Oh no, there's the disconnect. This is huge now. Players are disconnected. It's at 3v3 now, but it won't even matter. Deer late in that will still be able to come back and take that, evening things up 1-1. Now I know it got a little bit janky there at the end, but Deer with a beautiful comeback. That entire match was just my turn, your turn offense.
I don't really know what I just witnessed there, because what I saw, I don't know if what I saw was different from what others saw, but what I saw was that it was 2-3, just because that disconnect like really messed things up. But the only person with a clam was Mechanical Cat, who was coming out of spawn there, and the game seemed to be continuing because, you know, it's gonna be 2-3 regardless, and Cat is halfway across the map, can't get there, and then suddenly Cat just poofs and reappears in right under the enemy team's basket, and the basket's gone up, the game's over. I was very perplexed at that, but you know, like, the game goes to Deer. That's gonna be game 2 to Deer, and now SOS Warriors are probably very, very, very confused because they don't really know what they could have done to stop that. But you know, they're brainstorming ways to make sure they can end the game earlier for sure. Because you know, you don't have to worry about disconnects if you can end the game by KOing immediately. So you know, they're definitely still thinking of ways they can win despite the very odd connection issues.
Yeah, ignoring the little bit of witchcraftery at the end there, now we basically look at now a best of 3. Now both teams have won 1, so now we're basically just reset to best of 3. Now this is where a team can start getting the advantage on tower control Hagglefish market. I was talking about it earlier, that Blaster v Blaster could be a very interesting interaction to see here. I mean, you have that Vanilla's range blaster with that wave breaker, but I wouldn't be surprised either if we do see a little bit of CRB action as well. Now on the other side, Mechanical Cats with that Booyah Bomb, it basically fills the special usage of what you normally say with GG strikes, with being able to just deny any presence onto the tower at all. So I think that's definitely something to keep your eye on. But interestingly enough as well, Harshi has been off of that pencil and has been on that Splattershot Junior, so I would be fully expecting to see a bubble played here.
Yeah, and I mean bubble like is very popular here for good reason. And even though Junior isn't always the first pick for bubble nowadays, with how Decapitator is popular, it's still a very strong special no matter what, because just how unbelievably strong it is to hold space here, because holding space is all that matters on this map in my opinion. If you can take an area and hold it, then you can get so many points. If you can just get a bubble up in the enemy court or something, you can get so many points on that. So, you know, that's really what matters. And bubble, that's Bubble's strong suit, holding space.
Yeah, and my prediction was correct. We do see the Junior being played, and oh no, a disconnect. Okay, well, we saw a Junior being played, and we saw that Blaster being played as well, but let's take a look at these weapons we saw. We saw a Nautilus very interestingly coming out for the side of, I believe, Deer, which is not something you typically see at all on tower control, especially the rain one, right, Star?
Yeah, honestly, if anything, I'd be saying like, oh, they have a bubble, we should probably go Splashdown Nautilus, but no, they do go the rain one, and now I'm curious to see like what's the game plan here, what's the counterplay to bubble, because now you kind of left yourself open. If I'm not wrong, did they still have a splash or no? I do not think they still had a crab there.
No, they did. No, they did. Yeah.
Oh, they did. Okay, so that is their plan for bubble, but still, regardless, having Nautilus there could have provided a second check to bubble, but they've decided to pass up on a second check to bubble and trade for just having rain, which could definitely help.
I like to think of rain as kind of like pocket momentum. I mean, it's basically just allows you to really operate. It doesn't provide obviously the same like protection as bubble per se, but at least allows you to really have the advantage obviously with the changes to allow it to have regeneration. But not only that, just the ability for it to really snuff out any opponents, to provide that spacing as well, could help in a little bit of aiding in terms of pushing as well, but also changing the pace, because like I mentioned, it's basically just pocket momentum. You just go with the rain, go with the flow, go with the flooding, and I don't mind that pick at all, but definitely a very uncommon one for sure. Now, besides that, I believe we saw same comps coming in from both sides, so really both these teams know what works, know what they've practiced, and they're just gonna run it back.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm very kind of curious now. Not to what SOS Warriors is plotting as to win, but what SOS Warriors is plotting as to keep Mocha's Wi-Fi alive, because it seems like that's their new obstacle, because that seems to be a struggle of theirs. But if they're able to like get through that, honestly, I do believe that they should not really have too many issues with fighting the enemy team now, because with that last game, I mean, we saw what I didn't really see what happened, but I kind of understood what happened, where the Wi-Fi kind of made it an issue to try and stop the push. But now, honestly, they could just, oh, they have a substitute.
Yes, we do see the substitute. Now we see two Nautilus in the game here. Hayden now checking in with that splashdown here. Now that provides very interesting interaction. Now, Keely, you don't have that range blaster to counter out Mechanical Cats' S-Blast, so could provide another interesting wrinkle. But already SOS Warriors off to a fiery start. Will lose that knot, but still chugging along towards that first checkpoint. Stamp being popped by Addict to try to find some value. Gets stuck on the cooler there, but still will just provide the fear knowing what that stamp could have done. Now SOS Warriors continuing to move along though past that first checkpoint and going.
Yeah, and they will move up to the second checkpoint. Splashdown coming out, able to try and put pressure here onto the Nautilus, but not quite able to get it, and they will get wiped out with that. Cats moving up, trying to take space fast with their Booyah Bomb at the ready if needed.
Yeah, but we're seeing here Mechanical Cats trying to make something done. Will get taken out before they can use that Booyah Bomb, which is huge there. Yet again, SOS Warriors are running coolerless, so this is very, very aggressive from them indeed, but it seems to be working pretty well as 2 members are down for Deer as they continue to move forward here. Now, SOS Warriors have the opportunity to try to create some space, but actually Deer have been able to come back and they respond in their own kind because 2 players, the Splatana and Harshi on that Junior are down, but Deer just waiting for an opportunity to strike. They have the specials available. Keely, that crab on the tower, and the cooler you saw being popped as well, but still that Booyah Bomb has yet to be played and 2 members are down for SOS Warriors. This could be huge for them to go for their first checkpoint.
Yeah, and with starting that bubble, now they don't have to deal with Harshi's bombs. They can just focus on getting the checkpoint here, and now they can start to try and take lead here. Harshy going down yet again. They're gonna struggle with trying to push back in here. Crab luckily going down in time for SOS Warriors, but they're struggling to get them off the tower at all. And 18 is going to be the lead to get it to. Not that Ted has anything to say about it, but you know, they're finally actually putting a stop to this push. And 18 is definitely a large lead.
Yeah, especially with how close that last checkpoint is to the goal. 18 is a very, very respectable lead, but still a little bit under half the match to be played, so still plenty of time to get back into this for sure. The crab is available for Titan here to potentially stop this counter push that SOS Warriors is building here. You see Cats here trying to find Harshy on this side, will find him, but Cat will go down in the process to Attic. Titan now with the cleanup as well. It is just left to this, they have this Splatana actually by Balloon Bag, which will take down Titan, just waiting for the rest of SOS Warriors to recollect themselves. You see the Ultra Stamp is available for them as well, so now an opportunity for them to maybe create some space. Remember, they have 2 stamps available, so this is very, very hyper aggressive. Let's see if they're finding any value with it.
And actually, if I'm not wrong, Tickle and Cats were teammates, so we're kind of seeing a clash of former teammates here, because they do know how each other play, but Cats does seem to come out on top in that little skirmish between former teammates. And now, with that, it seems like another push for Deer will start. But if Harshy has anything to say about it, it won't. And 2 go down for Deer, losing things up very fast. What a bubble.
What a bubble indeed, but still the lead is still in Deer's favor here. 2 are down for SOS Warriors. That splashdown by Hayden to just try to maintain space. They will find closure that pencil, but quickly traded out themselves. Now numbers advantage in Deer's favor. You have that Booyah Bomb available as well, but really Deer can really just sit on this tower, sit pretty, don't have to make too much of an aggressive play here. Titan has that crab available, will pop it here. Very good crab. You will find Hayden now pinning down the other members of SOS Warriors. They will find another and a third and 4. 4 will be wiped out. SOS Warriors getting cleaned up here. Now Deer being able to continue this presence. 30 seconds are left, but they cannot rest. It is do or die time. SOS Warriors have one last opportunity to get on this tower.
Yeah, and we do end up seeing Attic try and go in and make some change, but honestly, Attic struggled a lot with his crab and a Nautilus, both making it really hard for Attic to push in here. The crab coming out here, Tickle trying to like make a play here, but that's 3 down, and that's it. That's the game with that GG Booyah Bomb to end it. Deer going up 2-1, being on set point now.
That crab play by Titan, 2 crabs consecutively up there, were in such a great position, and then at the end Mechanical Cats with that GG Booyah Bomb were able to at least disorientate and dislodge those members of SOS Warriors, allowing them to secure that match, preventing any overtime matchup from happening. And now game number 4, it is potentially our last map of this set, but if you're SOS Warriors, you need to win this. You need to win this to force game 5 to get back onto even grounds. It is Humpback Pump Track Rainmaker.
Yeah, and I will say this seems to be the map for SOS Warriors, because now, before you had a Nautilus on very flat maps, which a brush can't really approach that. How does a brush approach a Nautilus? That's a bad matchup. You can't really approach a Nautilus there. Now you got a really bumpy map, not as good for Nautilus, and incredible for something like Hammer. And SOS Warriors has two of them. So, you know, SOS Warriors is going to be in a very good spot here of trying to like take a game back and put themselves back into a position to win the set.
Yeah, and actually, while we wait for this fourth match to be loaded up, our other semifinals matchup has concluded in a very, very tightly contested set. Triggerfish Zone Supremacy will win 3-2 against Retro Records. So the winner of this semis will face Triggerfish Zone Supremacy in the finals. Meanwhile, the loser will face Retro Records in our third place matchup. Now, however this set's gonna turn out, I think it's gonna be a very, very, very exciting matchup no matter what. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, definitely, because both teams here are super strong, and Triggerfish Zone Supremacy always has new gimmicks, new things to try and win with. And, you know, it's going to be very hard for either team to try and come out on top of them. So no matter what, whatever team that ends up taking this set will have a very tight finals match.
Yeah, I'm also getting word that SOS Warriors are now subbing back in Mocha, so now trying to remake some of that magic that we saw from SOS Warriors in that first game. Now, game 2, you could argue, because of that weird shenanigans, could have gone either way, but still, it is do or die time no matter what for SOS Warriors. But I'm really interested to see if they still stick with the same comp. I mean, the comp does in fact really favor Rainmaker Humpback Pump Track, not only because of the clear lane that you have towards the first checkpoint, but not only that, between the first checkpoint and the goal, but you have that junior for the bubble as well. So I'm very interested to see if they stick with it, or do they revert back to maybe more familiar weapons for them.
I do think that they will be going back to something like Stamper here. Not because I think Range Blaster is bad here. Far from it. This is an incredible Range Blaster map. But just because I think Stamper synergizes far better with something like Wiper. So I do believe that Mocha is going to be more likely to be on Stamper here than a Blaster, despite how good this map may be for Blasters.
Yeah, indeed. But jumping straight into things, it is your tournament on the line for SOS Warriors. Now, what will you bring? You see the interesting pick of, I believe that is the regular custom blaster. Yes, it is, with splashdown. You see the switch up as well for Hayden to go on those tri-strikes, and Harshy will switch as well. We're seeing basically an entire platoon change besides Balloonback, who will stay on that stand, but you see the end zap, you see the splash, you see the blaster here. Very interesting. And on the other side, you also see a bit of a change as well. You see a bucket and an edit, changing things up on us, and very interestingly so. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and we do see SOS Warriors kind of being forced to a corner immediately, but Harshy is able to kind of hold his own for a little bit here, take out Mechanical Catch on his way out, and just be able to cause some problems, put it in a bad spot. But Hayden will go down to an unfortunate bomb, and the Edit's going to try and take the checkpoint here. They will do it, and that's a very early and fast checkpoint for Deer.
Yeah, really good push so far, but still, SOS Warriors are not giving any ground. Crab is available here for tie-in yet again. Harshy, you see that cooler being used as well. SOS Warriors still in it, and they're on the right side as well. Harshy will be the one to be taking up the Rainmaker, but you see that Crab plays in such a great position to immediately shut down that push. Crab out of nowhere, but actually Tide will be the last player standing for Deer, so they will just elect to see if they can stay alive a little bit, playing a little bit of Dance Revolution on that side. I love that by them, but still they will go down. But still, overall, a great initial push from Deer, and so far SOS Warriors have yet to respond. However, that is a great start with that pick.
Yeah, and now Harshy can kind of pop this and finally give SOS Warriors a little bit of room to breathe here, finding a pick on the jump in from Cats and slowly charging up that cooler while they also apply pressure regardless with these bombs.
Yeah, but eventually the Rainmaker will be popped. Cooler on the back as well. The checkpoint is in with Ice Shot. Now, will they be able to make it over there? The answer is yes. The checkpoint will be popped, but a continuous push will have to be made if they want to extend this lead. But Hayden is there. Balloon Bag is there, and so is the remaining members of SOS Warriors. They are charging straight forward for it and will manage to knock down the score to 37. The Booyah Bomb there just to counteract the push a little bit, but a counter Tri-Strike as well. The specials are going out. The air strikes are raining down. Now half the match left to be played. SOS Warriors still trying to make sure this push continues and this lead extends.
Yeah, and we do see another strike coming out. Yet again, showing why Splatoon is so strong. It's able to keep pumping them out consistently. But now, you know, they have to try and find a way to keep their lead here for so long. Pushing it into this like small little area, but going 2 down, going 3 down, not in the greatest position to be. Unless you're Mocha and you're able to just find trades like that.
Yeah, for sure, but SOS Warriors still in possession of that Rainmaker. You see the Tri-Strikes are available for them, as actually for Deer as well. The Booyah Bomb went out. 2 players are down for SOS Warriors. Now Archie has to just try to find an exit way. They're just left alone here against a crab, against most of the team, and eventually that crab will be the one to take it down. Titan on that pick. Now the Rainmaker being put a little bit behind that goal. This could be a very dangerous situation here for SOS Warriors if they're not careful. Now this fight could be huge for determining who has momentum now, especially with actually 3 members of Deer going down. SOS Warriors responded, and kind of as I was trying to talk about that, how important that team fight was, they were like, okay, it's this important, and immediately won that, and now they are on the push.
Yeah, and these strikes coming out to slow them down may not be enough, because we got Hayden strikes coming out to speed them up. And even though those might not be enough on their own, they are able to like kind of buy some time for SOS Warriors, as Harshy's able to stall a little bit more of the clock, and now we are left with 40 seconds left. Just to try and take the lead back.
Yeah, and if they don't want to have to go in game number 5, this push is gonna have to be the best. That is a good start. 2 players are down. The Tri-Strikes are going out now. 18 seconds left. This could be where it's dangerous now, though, because all it takes is one SOS Warrior member to sneak in behind, get the pick, and now things have to go in such a fashionable manner. 5 seconds are left. All the bombs are being thrown now, trying to find an opportunity. Overtime will be had, but will it be had in favor of Deer? It only remains to be seen. Splashdown, a very sneaky splashdown will be had there. Keeley, that's all it took. That custom blaster got in range, shut it down, and now we're going to game number 5.
Yeah, and I will say, I do think, even though Addict played wonderfully in the previous matches, I do think they realized that, oh, they have a Nautilus, they have a Splatling. Brush really can't fight Splatlings. We need something else. So they just have to do like a really, really large comm shift, but it seems to have paid off here. And now, you know, SOS Warriors are looking very good coming out of that game, now on even ground, ready to take the whole set and storm into finals if they can take this one last match. But of course, they still have to, again, take this one last match, and it's almost Mahi Mahi Resort. Like I said, the most even match in this entire set, in my opinion. This is the first time where I haven't eaten my words for any of the other matches. It's been the most even set by far. The team with a hammer did end up taking home Rainmaker Humbach, but now with this map, it's not really like either team has an advantage with their comps. It's entirely up to which team's like adapted the most to the enemy team's playstyle.
Now, I don't know about you, Stara, but I'm not making any predictions for weapon comps in general. I mean, we saw both teams mixing things up a little bit. We saw SOS Warriors bring out an entire new unit there of weapons. And on the other side, same story. We saw the edit being played very interestingly over that pencil. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit of maybe just a differing of weapons, if you'd say. Like maybe we see a bit of a combination between what we've seen from both these teams so far and what we will see now. I mean, I'm very interested to see if Harshy and the rest of SOS Warriors will be running Coolerless, or will they be running Cooler and Zap. That's going to be a very interesting thing to think about as well, especially since Bubble would be a pretty good choice on Splat zones here.
Yeah, but to be fair, with Cooler working for them, not only would I not be surprised to see them stick to comp, I wouldn't be surprised if they went to pencil comps, because you know, even though he's been switching it up a lot tonight, Harshy does still know how to play. He's still a talented pencil player. I wouldn't be surprised to see it, but you know, seeing these insane switch ups have been keeping Deer on their toes, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised either way. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see the continuation of Harshy on front lines, but I wouldn't be surprised to see something like Pencil. And we do see Pencil come out, a more traditional comp from SOS Warriors, and now both sides have a very, very traditional comp with Pencil Neo Splash plus 2 Slayers.
This is where they bring their best. Game number 5, Keely, the CRB being brought out for SOS Warriors. That Kraken available, but First Blood will go in favor of SOS Warriors. And already the strikes are out. The Cooler being popped from Deer on the other side as well to try to counteract this a little bit. And the Tri-Strikes there as well. We're seeing a very typical comp from both sides. Like you mentioned, your Cats trying to make something happen. We'll find Harshy. We'll try to find a little bit of this left side. And just like that, off of that pick, now Deer are on the offensive. Now just trying to recollect themselves. SOS Warriors will barely get out of that Booyah Bomb, but so far really closely played game.
Yeah, but Cass getting that direct on Tickle means a lot there, as they're able to try and like extend their lead here, because now they have a large numbers advantage, capitalizing off that small thing. And oh no, with that disconnect, I don't think they're able to replay it. They do end the match though.
Yeah, I believe actually barely they might be able to, and I wasn't sure on the time. I didn't take a look at the time there, but if that's the case, then we saw the comps that were coming out from them, Star. I mean, it's very, very standard. You see a Pencil on both sides. You still see both sides running that Tri-Strike, and yeah, okay, so there was over 4 minutes left, so there was time to cancel it there, so no foul play at all. But still though, you see the evenness of how both these teams have played. Really the only difference you see there, I believe, is the Stamp versus Kraken matchup, in terms of specials at least.
Yeah, but I will say, even though the Wi-Fi issues did interfere with that match, I'm not sure if they're able to replay, just due to the fact that they did replay a previous match, if I'm not wrong, to sub in Hayden. So
yeah, if that's the case, that is a very brutal way to end things, but we will get that sorted momentarily. But if that's the case, he still fought hard. I mean, this is unfortunate for that internet time, but still though, I'd like to be optimistic. But we've seen how evenly matched obviously these teams have been. I mean, heck, we see it right there in front of our eyes. You see it's been 4 games and a winner has yet to be decided, but still really well played from both teams throughout of this. We're just waiting for confirmation a little bit, just to make sure that these teams have their internet straight. But yeah,
and this does seem like even though we're not sure of who will win this, I will say this is gonna be a very, very odd situation no matter what, because even if the set isn't over, even in the chance of the set is not over, you have to fight that insane comp there yet again. You have to fight Cats on that blaster, just causing problems. So, you know, regardless of the outcome, I'm worried for SOS Warriors.
Okay, so I'm looking at it. I believe they did use a DC, right? I forget what
they
game.
They did use a replay. Yeah, I don't know. I think on top.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did use the DC, and then in terms of the rules, you're only allowed one DC for a match, but yeah, if that's the case, that means that, unfortunately, SOS Warriors will have to forfeit the set, which means that Deer will be moving on to her finals to face Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, which is always a brutal way to go. I mean, you don't want to see it like this, but still, I give them massive props for still managing to chug along with it, and making it this far has been very, very impressive for them. They have fought tooth and nail.
Yeah, very, very, very unfortunate for SOS Warriors, but I mean, like, there's a reason they're called SOS Warriors. They'll be back next week no matter what. We can expect that. So, there's all like they're still going to be very strong contenders no matter what. But now we're definitely gonna see a different SOS winner this week, because now it's between two completely separate teams from the team that won last week. Now it's between Triggerfish Zone Supremacy and Deer. So now I'm very interested to see who wins that, because we did see the Brush get subbed out whenever in this set, whenever SOS Warriors started losing to Nautilus. Now, Kraken Mare is a very strong Brush player, but how much can he do against this Nautilus? That's another strong question.
But yeah, as we get this situation sorted, we're just gonna take a very short break. So we will be right back for Swimmers Sync number 167. Very back momentarily for grand finals. So don't you go anywhere. Grab a little snack, grab a little drink as well, because we will be right with you to crown our SOS 167 champions here in one moment.
Welcome back to Swimmer Sync 167. We do seem to be having them replay this game 5 here. So SOS Warriors has one more chance to try and take this match. But now the real question is, what are they gonna do about this S-Blast menace that they've been struggling with so much?
Yeah, I'm very glad that we're able to replay this, because it'd be very unceremonious for them to end. But we do see a little bit of a weapon switch. I believe this is a sub coming in. You see the Gal now coming in as well. A very interesting pick now. Out goes Balloon Boy on that Splatana, and in comes that Gal. Now you will have two shooters, a little bit more firepower here to try to contest, but already SOS Warriors throwing in those tri-strikes, trying to contest things a little bit here, trying to find an opening. Harshy, we've seen how powerful they've been on Pencil, already with Cooler, and now pushing so far deep into the side of Deer, but still no picks really have gone either side. Really just pressure. Now there is the first pick. I believe the Gal will fall.
Yeah, and now yet again we do see a positive start for SOS Warriors, and they do get it pretty low this time. The water has dropped, so now SOS Warriors in a pretty powerful position here. But with these strikes coming in, they may not be able to hold, but they seem to just keep the dream alive. It's a 4v2 now, and it's just the pencil.
Yeah, so actually we do see Balloonbag staying in here. 15 ticks left though. SOS Warriors are taking this straight to heart. Will they just go straight for the knockout here despite that DC? 5 ticks are like, will Deer hop onto this? The answer is no. They will answer straight in kind. SOS Warriors took that DC, and still, despite all that has happened, straight up 100-0. They will be taking this set, and now they will be taking the semifinals. Now moving on to face who has been waiting for them in grand finals. Triggerfish Zone Supremacy versus SOS Warriors will be your Swimmer Sync 167 finals.
All right, well, I seem to have been incorrect with my assumption. There is a chance that Harshy wins yet another SOS, and after 10 SOS wins, I mean, what's another? But you know, Triggerfish Zone Supremacy has won SOS only a few weeks ago, if I'm not wrong. So you know, they're still very strong contenders in this. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see them winning here. Honestly, I do. Even though the favorites to win are definitely SOS Warriors, I would not be surprised to see Triggerfish Zone Supremacy coming up and winning here.
Now you have a very interesting dynamic between both these teams. I mean, we saw the 1-2 punch that you have from Triggerfish Zones. You have the brush, you have the Explosher that Keeley Triggerfish Zone Supremacy seems to be, at least from what I've seen, really the one of, if not the only predominant team to be running Explosher mainly here, which is very interesting to see. So I'm very interested to see if we see a little bit of a long range duel here between Harshy and that Explosher. Now, taking a look a little bit at what we have in our 5-game set, we will start off with Splat Zones on Crab Lake Capital, which is very interesting to start off indeed. What are your thoughts on the map mode though?
I do wait, what map mode is it? Sorry,
It is Zones Crab Lake Capital.
I don't like this map. However, if I'm SOS Warriors, I do, because if I'm on that team, I have a pencil. So, you know, very strong for them. And I'm very curious as to see what this Explosion will do. Vapor, very talented, but, you know, if there's like a pencil on Grapes, I don't really know how the Explosion is supposed to hit that, except for just with extreme accuracy and lots of talent, which Vapor is known to have. So, you know, we could just see a miraculous Explosion performance here.
Yeah, and another map mode that just pointed out to me that my eyes immediately went to, Game 3, Rainmaker Manta Maria. That's something that you typically don't see anymore, but it has been voted in, and we see it now. I believe this is the first time we have seen it on stream. Now, I love this map mode. I know that might be a hot take here or there, but I just love the elevation that it has now. It can be very, I'd say, very defender-sided because of how many choke points there are. I mean, there's like basically one lane that you can go through, and it's very narrow. I mean, it's really just blaster, roller, brush heaven, just being able to create all that area of denial in such a narrow area that it is basically a flood of ink to get through. But it's going to be really interesting to see how these teams really interact with this. I mean, we've seen how Harshy has been able to change from Junior. We've seen how Triggerfish Zones have been able to use Bubble, and that Explosion could really find itself some value there as well. But yeah, I'm really excited to see it there.
Yeah, and I will say, and I know I've talked about Ink Brush enough today, but the greats on this first map at least, and on Rainmaker Manta Maria later on too, but heavily on this first map, Splat Zones Crab Lake Capital, this is going to be a field day for Krakenmare. Shall they let him get away with running around here? And of course, if they don't want to deal with that brush flanking a ton, they could go Junior and not play so far back with Pencil. So like, keep staying ahead and making sure that flanking is less viable of an option. But considering how good of a map it is for Pencil, they could just go Ink Brush here and just flank the entire time and just get so many free picks off of it.
The speed and the ability, like you were mentioning about it, it can provide really for such a wrinkle in what Triggerfish Zones loves to do. I mean, really pop up out of nowhere, maybe just crack the backbone that is SOS Warriors, just get into that backline, canceling out any coolers if possible, and just being that giant nuisance. Can't allow the rest of Triggerfish Zone Supremacy to gain some land, to gain that momentum, and gain the ability to get the upper hand, because we have seen how SOS Warriors, even if they're down big here early, they've been able to punch back in kind, able to take it on the chin, and able to come back in such a powerful force that it's really unexpected, but really common that we see in Splatoon 3 competitive.
Yeah, and as we get into game one here, another disconnect has happened, but this time it wasn't Mocha, so there is that. But if it was before the game started, I do believe that this does not count as their disconnect replay, so they should be good to disconnect again. But it's just kind of really unfortunate, because now it's not just Mocha, the entire team is getting unlucky with Wi-Fi right now. I don't know if it's something with the entire servers right now, because I've seen some complaints from friends within the last few hours recently, just about a lot of people disconnecting from their X matches and stuff. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a large server-wide issue.
Hopefully that isn't the case, but we do appreciate you viewers for being patient with us as we navigate this. But just talking a little bit about how the comps were looking. You saw Harshy on that E leader, which is very interesting. Any thoughts on that choice? Because we haven't seen them pull that out this entire tournament, but now we see a little bit of a wrinkle in what SOS Warriors likes to run.
Yeah, and honestly, more than anything, it does seem that instead of it being a Wi-Fi issue, Tickle Switch died, which I personally relate to, because even though I do not currently have access to the game, whenever I do play Splatoon, I play handheld, so I can relate to this. I know a lot of you can't, but y'all have to understand, sometimes the most comfortable position in your bed is not close to your charger. So during tournaments or scrims or whatever, your Switch may just die.
See, that's why I have it plugged up to the old dock near the TV, so I know that it's always charged no matter what. But that is unfortunate there that the Switch died mid tournament here, especially in the biggest moment as well. But while we wait for that to get sorted out a little bit here, we talked a bit of Crab Lake Capital, we talked a bit about Manta Maria, but any other map modes really stick out in this set here, Stara?
Honestly, I will say yet again, I think we're just saving the best maps in the game for Game 5 consistently, or Game 3 consistently, like the last game in the set consistently, because we recently saw Zones Hagglefish as the last game in the set. Now we're seeing Zones Macro Mart, some of the best maps in the entire series, honestly. So, very, very much looking forward to these Game 5s here as we get into Game 1 of this set right now, as we see E-Leader Zap coming out from SOS Warriors.
Yeah, and then you have Harshy on that, like you mentioned, on that E-leader, so could provide a little bit of a dangerous no-fly zone for Triggerfish Zones if they're not careful, but already off to an early lead here, managing to take the zone also temporarily, but actually the Harshy will go down in the fight of it. Two players are down for SOS Warriors. The stamping pops just to try to regain some ground. You see Pepe there with the and the Trizuka on the side, but actually 3 players go down now for Triggerfish Zone Supremacy as SOS Warriors are able to take that lead very, very quickly. You see Mocher has that Zipcaster available here to maybe make something happen, and they'll try to go on this flank here, try to find some value, but no, they will be quickly shut down by members of Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, and it has been so back and forth already early here in the first 50 seconds.
Yeah, and now that we see a more definitive like positional advantage here, I do believe that it's going to be a lot harder for SOS Warriors to push back in. As you see Triggerfish Zone Supremacy keep trying to have this hold here, Pepe taking a fight with Mocha, both go down, and we just keep on seeing this even numbers like this skirmish this entire time as the Kraken comes out looking for picks, not quite able to find any, and Hershey will end up going down, but not before the zone goes up in yellow colors.
Yes, it's SOS Warriors still in it. They don't have that much penalty to get out of, so they have an opportunity to really snowball this out of proportion, but the Zipcaster is being popped as well to make sure this happens, but Kraken Bear able to shut down Mocher on that side. Now, the killer whale being popped as well to at least disorientate these members of SOS Warriors, but you heard that cooler jingle. The cooler is available and online for SOS Warriors, but 2 players are down. Kraken Mare just continuing to make their presence known with that. They are trying to leave their impact on this game. Even finding the 3rd balloon bag will fall in that as well, and now in a great position. They are continuing their onslaught. Look at this, continuing to take down players of SOS Warriors, and now they are almost out of their penalty. Triggerfish Zone's now on a roll.
Yeah, but we do end up seeing Tickle's hammer here be the final ingredient needed to retake the zone. But that does not stop something like a flank from Smork here going in with the junior, keeping Harshy distracted the whole time, keeping Mocha distracted as well, and just getting out safely while being able to just remove a few players from the equation.
Yeah, but SOS Warriors are responding in kind now out of their own penalty. They really only have about like 10 ticks left before they take the lead here. Pepe is taking the zip on that left side with the Zuka, trying to find some value, but actually SOS Warriors will be the ones to take the zone, will be the ones to take the lead with it as well. And these specials are all online. 3 members are down for Triggerfish Zones. This is looking dire now if you are them. They need to jump onto the zone here with any paint. You see the splashdown being popped as well just to create a way in, but will it be enough? 5 ticks left, 3, 2. Will there be enough? No, it will not be enough as SOS Warriors were able to punch back and continue that lockout up until the very end. SOS Warriors will strike first in this grand finals.
Yeah, and I will say, I'm kind of like perplexed as to how I didn't really see the Inkbrush flank much. That was like a surprise. The Inkbrush was kind of playing more to limit Mocha's abilities on Zipcasters. But honestly, those Zipcasters were so overbearing that Kraken Mare alone wasn't able to stop them. But you know, it's a really big surprise that Kraken Mare played more of like a sharking role rather than actively flanking, actively trying to cause problems role there.
Yeah, for sure. And now we move to a familiar map, but not a familiar mode that we've seen on this map. Clam Blitz, Barnacle, and Dime. Now, typically we see zones on this, but Clam Blitz provides a lot more of an interesting play. I mean, obviously, Clam Blitz, I believe, in my opinion, is the most volatile mode there. I mean, Rainmaker has its own argument, but how chaotic it can get after an immediate attack and the quick counterattacks that can really develop here. I'm really interested to see how the momentum switches. I mean, we saw how SOS Warriors have been able to really come back from leads and clean things out. I'm wondering if they can do the same thing. If you're on the other side, though, of Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, you still have a lot of games to be played. One loss does hurt a little bit, but still you have an opportunity to pull yourself up and get back into it and even things up. As we move to game number 2, let's see if there's any weapon changes between these two teams.
We do end up seeing the roller come out, if I'm seeing that correctly, and a comp staying the same, because if it ain't broke, do not fix it, for Triggerfish on Supremacy. But also Squeezer coming out, because Hayden is also very known for, backlines, so not surprising to see Parsley switch to more aggressive weapons as Hayden takes more backline role. But Roller's a surprise. Mocha going Roller here, trying to find a way in, getting just kind of slowly shut out, but Pencil applying pressure still, so nobody's really making much progress.
I like the choice of the roller though a lot, specifically the vanilla flat roller. You have that bubble available for creating space, and bubble plus roller is so hard to deal with, but we see a quick double from Balloon Bag, I believe, with the stamp, trying to find a third, almost finds Krakenmare there, but just a little too short. Now SOS Warriors are in great position to go in, but Pepe is trying to make sure that doesn't happen. Themselves set up in a great position, trying to take a dangerous fight with the roller with Mocher. Will get taken down, and now Mocher will be the one to open up the goal, and another ball will actually find its way in there, now down to 60.
Yeah, and now Hershey holding this top left position. It's going to be hard to push back in, but Pepe just deciding to ignore that, take the fight on the right side, and forcing Hershey to drop instead of trying to fight Hershey one-on-one.
Yeah, but now the push will be stopped at least momentarily, but SOS Warriors are still deep into Triggerfish zone supremacy side of the map here, as Hayden may be the one to open up the goal yet again, and they will be. Now the clams are falling in out of their penalty. The lead is extending even more with Cooler being popped as well, and Balloon Bag being able to pop that stamp. Will find one, will find two, will try to find three, not quite there yet. Well, actually, no, will manage to find it, and just like that, a wipeout. Now SOS Warriors has an opportunity to go straight for the knockout here. The clams need to be there as the continuation of this presence is being made. Hayden jumping in, will throw in a couple of clams. Two members are down. It is just left to Hershey and that Splatana there on the side. Hershey will be able to grab some clams, and just like that, all it took was one push, and SOS Warriors with a 100-0 win. Now looking for the sweep here in grand finals against Triggerfish zone supremacy. They have been on fire.
Yeah, and now if I'm Triggerfish zone supremacy, I'm like thinking maybe it is broke. Maybe we need to fix it a little bit. But they're very interesting with their comps, and plus this is definitely a good map for them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them stick the comp, honestly, despite how it's not seeming to work here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either, but maybe an opportunity could present itself to really just mix things up, a little bit of surprise, because now no more mistakes can be made. This is your last opportunity, because now you need to go for the reverse sweep, and it all starts on game number 3, Rainmaker Manta Maria. Now this is a new map to our rotation, and it's going to be very interesting to watch. I mean, for the reasons I already explained earlier, but I'll say it once again, it is very, very hard to push on this map, especially after that first checkpoint, because of how narrow the path is and how hard it is to get through without these specials, such as maybe a tri-strike or maybe a bubble, because without them you're just pushing into the hornet's nest.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, someone is pushing directly into that hornet's nest may be beneficial though, because it might just be 1 or 2 points that's the difference, and running into the hornet's nest head first, even though you'll die in there, you might get a little bit further in there, and that might be far enough to win it, to be fair. So even without something like a bubble there, they can still win it. So there's still the chance that they may switch off of bubble and go with something else.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see that. I mean, we've seen how good of a special bubble has been for both teams, not only providing those jumps, but also providing the space to really operate, to really allow the other members of of your team to really operate. But jumping straight into it, it is do or die time. Will SOS Warriors complete the sweep here, or will Triggerfish Zone Supremacy force another one? Is that a bamboozler I just saw? Do my eyes deceive me? That is a bamboozler coming out from Hayden's. You love to see it.
Yeah, Hayden does like bamboozler historically. So again, not very surprised to see that. What I am a little bit surprised to see is Mocha and, if I'm not wrong, Mocha and Harshi kind of switching roles, because we saw Harshi on Zap earlier, but now Harshi's on Stamper, which is Mocha's weapon, and Mocha's on Zap, so you know, a little bit surprised.
Yeah, for sure, but we see here Triggerfish Zone Supremacy actually do lose 2 members. The goal was almost capped. I mean, the checkpoint was almost capped there for Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, but it's okay. They still have control of mid here. As 2 members of Triggerfish Zones will jump on that Rainmaker and eventually will take it. Smork here with a beautiful bubbler position as well to really provide that presence, just trying to chase down Hayden on that bamboozler, but Mocher is still very much in mid here, just looming here. Maybe a jump could come in to help with help Smork here on the side, but it doesn't look to be the case, as still SOS Warriors have their presence known and it will just force the jump out. Now we're gonna reset a little bit. Triggerfish Zone Supremacy did strike first, but a lot of game to be played. Balloon Bag will try to find value, almost falls off there. That was looking a little dangerous, but won't find the value there as they are quickly shut down.
Yeah, and now we see it again. Krakenmare returning to that role of sharking out the Zipcasters, trying to make sure they get no value. At first with Mocha, and now with Harshi, just because of the behavior repeating itself, as now they're trying to stop yet another Stamper.
Yeah, but we see here Mocher will be the ones to take up SOS Warriors' Rainmaker push, and 3 players are down for Triggerfish Zone Supremacy. This is the opportunity they need, but no, Krakenmare is right there to stop it dead in its tracks. The lead will still be had by Triggerfish Zone Supremacy. A very clutch pick. Now Triggerfish Zones need to hop back on to this mid side. Then 2 players are down for SOS Warriors. Actually 3 players are down. It's just left the bamboozler now trying to extend their lead a little bit here. They will be met by an iron wall though with that killer whale, but no players are actually available there to stop it and continuingly to extend their lead now down to 19. That is a great lead to have. Now these players of Triggerfish Zones will just be desperately jumping onto this Rainmaker to try to stay alive. Smork is trying to get away with their life. Will get taken down by Hayden, but what a beautiful push that Triggerfish Zones had there. Oh
yeah, we see them keep trying to push this in, and they're finally able to like start moving it out of their spawn here and start taking it upwards across the map, and now it's finally back into a more neutral position. But with that doesn't come without the problems of pushing in, such as just random bombs like that.
A well-placed bomb just out of the camera view will shut down that push and hold it temporarily. Krakenmare will take a 2-for-1 trade there on the brush on that right side. Now Harshi will be the Rainmaker carrier for SOS Warriors, trying to at least get that first checkpoint first. You need to take things one step at a time if you want to stay in this, but Pepe is there with the Zuka and quickly shut down. They will be, now Vapor will have the opportunity to at least pop this for Triggerfish Zone Supremacy. They have splashed down as well to continue this push, but you see there the cooler on the other side for SOS Warriors. That means they are very dangerous on this defense, and it is really hard to get through, but still Triggerfish Zone Supremacy with a huge lead.
Yeah, and with Vapor's hold of the mid, it's gonna be hard to like kind of take that lead back here, as the entirety of mid is just all orange. So, you know, I don't really know what they're really gonna be able to do here, as just every time they push, that's a zip wasted, that's a hammer wasted, and they're still not getting picked.
Yeah, for sure, but you see the bubble being had by Smork for this push. You see now SOS Warriors is going to take that right side towards that checkpoint, and they will knock it down there. Harshi will lose the life, but that will be worth it there. Now the real test is, do they have enough time to push in with the final 35 seconds here to force Triggerfish Zones to make sure that to allow SOS Warriors to complete the sweep, or will Triggerfish Zone Supremacy stay in it and live to fight another day? 25 seconds are left. SOS Warriors now just trying to chug along, but no, the quick Zuka will shut shut down that push. 20 seconds are left. All Triggerfish Zones has to do is take that Rainmaker and reset it. They will be able to reset it. Now the true fight here. One last opportunity for SOS Warriors. They need to get the pop onto this Rainmaker real fast if they want a opportunity at this overtime push. 5 seconds, 4, 3. The Rainmaker will be had. Now overtime awaits them.
Yeah, and now Harshi's immediately getting rushed. Pepe going in, almost able to end the game immediately like that, and the numbers stay even regardless until, oh no, they stay even because every time one goes down, another goes down from the opposite team. It's just nothing changes. It's stagnant.
Yeah, Hershey just trying to rain down artillery fire, trying to find an opportunity to push, but they know that they have to go in now or overtime will run out. The cooler is had by them. 25 ticks left on that. The Zuka is there for Pepe to try to shut this down. Time is running low, but there's Kraken with the brush trying to make this happen, and they will eventually sacrifice themselves to take out Hershey there. Will force another game. Game 4 will be had. Triggerfish Zones will take their first of the set, and they will live to fight another day.
Yeah, and now like we see, like with that game, there's always the chance of a reverse sweep here.
There's always a chance. There's always a chance. May it loom. Now you have the opportunity, but Triggerfish Zones Supremacy have an opportunity to breathe a little bit. The work is not over. You will have to face game number 4 before you can play on even playing grounds. Tower Control, Inkblot, Art Academy. Now the first checkpoint is usually a given here. That is usually the easiest thing, but between the first, the second checkpoint, that is where the true fight happens, because if you know what the tower path is on this map, it is a straight incline up. I mean, throughout the entire time you're facing this map and you're trying to push on this map, you have the elevation disadvantage that is presented onto you because the defenders are able to set up so high and rain down ink from above.
Yeah, and I will say taking bath's gonna be so important. So I wonder if like Kraken Mirror is finally gonna take like a more aggressive role rather than more sharking, because you know taking baths is very important, and Inkbrush loves to rush bats here. So I'm just curious to see what will come.
Yeah, for sure. And in terms of weapon changes, we do see Moker going for that custom blaster, and on the other side you do see that bubble yet again. That bubble can be so key in really what Triggerfish Zones is trying to do here. Now that is so vital to pushing towards that, like I mentioned, that between that first and second checkpoint, because it is so brutal to do so without any specials available to them. Let's see if that will be the case. Moker will find a 1-for-1 trade there on that left stack. Now Vapor trying to find an opportunity with this Explosion themselves. Explosion is such a powerful artillery raining down hell weapon that is just trying to find some value here, but just dancing around. Vapor will actually be quickly taken down, and now SOS Warriors will be the first ones to strike first in trying to take this first checkpoint.
Yeah, and honestly, they're just kind of looking for a way in slowly because they're gonna struggle a lot with finding a way in. They don't have any cooler to like be a safety net. They have to rely on their one bubble, their one Zuka, and if that doesn't get progress, then they're done. But you know, there's always the option of just using time to your advantage and just waiting until things are more favorable for you. And it seems like that's what they did to kind of scare them off a little bit here.
Yeah, for sure. Now trying to get to the second checkpoint, this is where the true battle. You see that left elevation that is so difficult to get through. Harshy though will have cooler available for the remainder of their team. SOS Warriors will have that going for them, but the Splatana will go down to Vapor. Vapor getting quickly traded out though. Conversely, this push is not yet over. A beautiful direct there from Moker onto Pepe, trying to make their presence known on this right side, trying to be a little bit of a distraction while the rest of their team advances forward. But this bubble, this defensive bubble could be key, but no, the Tri-Strikes are coming in to counteract this. This could be huge if they can get the second checkpoint here.
Yeah, and they move up to it. They're trying to get into it. The Splashdown comes out, not able to stop them from getting it. as Hershey will trade out his life for the second checkpoint and getting that cooler out.
Yeah, and now moving along, this is where it's deadly. The strikes are coming in to try to secure this. They're at the third checkpoint. Kraken is making sure that doesn't happen with a quick double there. Down to 19, though, SOS Warriors with a great lead. And Triggerfish Zones have not yet been able to get a push developing of their own, but this could be the opportunity for them right here and now as 3 players are down for SOS Warriors. However, the map is very much blue here in mid, but Triggerfish Zones is already here with a quick response. They have 2 specials available to try to get this push going, but it needs to be a very, very good one.
Yeah, and we do see this bubble at the ready. Pepe trying to shark in. It doesn't seem like they see him. And, you know, despite the numbers disadvantage, they might be able to get something going here. And I jinxed it. And Commentators curse strikes again. As Pepe is forced to jump out and Vapor does go down, sadly.
Yeah, minute 50 left here. Still plenty of time, but if you're Triggerfish Zones, you need to get a push going to at least chip away at that lead. You already passed that first checkpoint, but now you need to at least close the distance for that second checkpoint. 2 specials are online for SOS Warriors. You have that splashdown you see being used right there, and you have the stamp as well. Now, Bubble is available for Smork as well to maybe try to hold this a little bit if they are 2 players down. Now, SOS Warriors are just trying to keep up this momentum. This is what they love to do. Keep the pedal to the metal. Keep this pressure on Triggerfish Zones. Don't give them any opportunity to breathe. Don't give them any opportunity to get a counter push here. Cooler is being popped as well. Let's see if SOS Warriors can continue up this momentum because the tri-strikes are online and they're being thrown.
Hershey does go down, and with that, it does not seem like the push will die though, because like they just keep up with all the pressure. Everything they have just keeps up, even without Hershey alive. They still have 3 up, and they're able to like just keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on, but now it is 35 seconds left. This is do or die time. This is overtime territory. If you're Triggerfish Zone Supremacy, what do you have left in you? What juice do you have left in you to keep this going? Kraken Mare with that initial pick could open things up for the rest of Triggerfish Zones, but 20 seconds are left. The key lead, that bubble is available, so now an opportunity could present itself if the cards are right, but it will be a tough hill to climb. 10 seconds left. Smork will be the one onto that tower. Now they could potentially pop that bubble. 5 seconds are left, but now a player needs to jump on it. 3 seconds. There is the splashdown, and there are the GG strikes. Now an opportunity will be had, but the opportunity quickly shut down by those tri-strikes by SOS Warriors. And with that being said, SOS Warriors, your SOS Swimmer Sync 167 Grand Finals winners.
Yeah, and honestly, that was a great showing from them, despite the unfortunate things that happened in the set beforehand. They did definitely pull out their best for this set and take it home here. And honestly, just what a match there. They really did not make any mistakes. Like they just kept up pressure, and with that they do end up taking it home. And I'm just like, that's an 11th SOS win for Hershey. Like there's really not much else to say.
Yeah, for sure. GG's to them. Hershey continues to get all these badges here, continuing to make their presence known. And just like that, winning 3-1, very impressive for them. And just taking a look at how 3rd place turned out, Deer with the sweep over Retro Records. That will round out your top 3 there, being SOS Warriors as your winners, Triggerfish Zones with 2nd place, and Deer being 3rd place there, at least getting that. Now, what a tournament it has been.
Yes, and with that, we will bid you adieu. Have a great night.
Well, yeah, first, but do you want to do your plugs first, or?
Oh, yeah. You can find me on Twitter at StarLolZZ, because I'm very sleepy all the time. That's why the ZZs are there. And Rocket, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Twitch at rocket_splat. You can find me chilling in Discords. I might get a blue sky soon, TBD, but yeah, enough of that. Thank you all for watching this weekly edition of Swimmer Sync. Now, that concludes Swimmer Sync number 167. Shout out to Justin in the background for being our wonderful streamer. Thank you for all the staff and TOs for working on this tournament. Thank you all, dear viewers, for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.